I would like to officially call the Housing Committee Far East Community Reinvestment Area hearing to order. Thank you for joining us at Columbus City Council today. My name is Shayla Favor, and I serve as the chair of Council's Housing Committee. Today, the Housing Committee is hosting this hearing regarding the proposed creation of a Far East Community Reinvestment Area. We will hear from the Director of the Department of Development, Mr. Steve Shoney, and as well as from Caroline Kimmel from Herman and Kittle. Finally, we will open up the floor to public testimony. These hearings are important to our work here at City Council as we strive to encourage an open policy-making process. We value inclusivity, information, and all opinions as we prepare to make decisions on behalf of all of our residents. The goal of a community reinvestment area is to advance and support neighborhood revitalization and stabilization. The city has established a new housing incentive policy with a goal to foster private sector investment to build mixed income neighborhoods throughout the entire city. We all know that affordable housing is a critical issue in Columbus, and this policy is designed to help us create more affordable housing opportunities in our city. The new residential incentive policy adopted by City Council in July of 2018 has made significant changes to support affordable mixed-income neighborhoods in the city's post-1994 community reinvestment areas. Neighborhoods have been placed into one of three categories based on the following criteria: population growth, median household income growth, poverty rate, growth in median rate, housing vacancy rate, and mortgage foreclosure rate. The ordinance in consideration will create the Far East Community Reinvestment Area and provide for real property exemptions for residentially zoned and used parcels within that area. The ordinance will also provide for exemption from an increase in real property tax for construction of new housing, on the increase in valuation of building conversions from commercial use to residential use, and on the increase in property taxes due to the renovation of existing single and multifamily housing units within the established boundaries. We have a presentation from a developer from Herman and Kittle here today who will give us some more details about their proposed development that would receive incentives from the creation of the Far East CRA. But first, I'd like to turn the floor over to Director Steve Shoney to provide us with some more information about the creation of this Far East CRA. Mr. Shoney?
Madam Chair, thank you for leading this hearing this afternoon and for your work with us on all matters related to housing. What I will try and limit my comments to this afternoon are the specifics of the community reinvestment area. I will let the folks from Herman and Kittle talk about the project. In part because this new community reinvestment area does not apply solely to this project. This community reinvestment area applies to all new projects and actually all renovation of existing single-family homes. And if there are any multifamily developments in the area, this could apply to new investments in those properties as well. So I want to take a moment to explain the boundaries of the CRA and to also talk about the benefits that are incumbent upon this legislation for various kinds of property owners and homeowners in particular in this census tract. So when we, a year ago, went and amended the city CRA program, one of the new policy decisions we had made is that we would, going forward, be conforming our community reinvestment area boundaries when we had the opportunity to a U.S. Census tract. So in this case, we are looking at Census Tract 93.73 on the southeast side of Columbus. This area is bounded roughly by Bryce Road to the east, Blacklick Creek to the south, the Township border to the west, and Refugee Road to the north. As council members, you noted in your comments, we divide each of our CRA areas into one of three categories based on how the census tract performs compared to 6 different metrics, and how does that census tract perform compared to the rest of the city across these 6 different census tracts. In this case, the the census tract outperformed the city as a whole in population growth. It had a lower housing vacancy rate and a lower mortgage foreclosure rate than the rest of the city. However, at the same time, the area also had a lower median household income growth, a higher poverty rate, and a lower median rent growth per square foot than the rest of the city. So it outperformed the rest of the city in 3 categories, underperformed the rest of the city in 3. So it puts it into that middle category that we call ready for revitalization. There are a number of requirements to qualify for, there are requirements and then benefits when you fall into that category, and I will run through those briefly. For all projects that qualify within the ready for revitalization areas, there is a 100% 15-year property tax abatement that will be available for all projects, including single-family new construction and single-family rehabilitation. So, in other words, if you are a homeowner and you are doing a project to increase the value of your home, generally speaking by 20% or more, you are eligible for a 100% 15-year property tax abatement on the value of those improvements. That we hope is, in addition to supporting this project, another incentive for existing homeowners in this census tract to be able to invest in their homes and do it more economically and add additional value to their homes so they can build wealth in their communities. For those who are doing multifamily projects, by multifamily I mean 4 units or more, there is a requirement that they do one of 2 things. They either need to provide a minimum of 10% of the units affordable at, make those a minimum of 10% of the units affordable to folks making 80% AMI or less, and another 10% for folks making 100% AMI or less. I always hate using those acronyms. Generally speaking, we're talking about households making between $40,000 and $60,000 a year. Typically households with 1, maybe 2 full-time wage earners in the household. There is a way that multifamily property owners can avoid providing the affordable housing. In this case, that's not happening, but in future cases, there is an opportunity for developers to buy out of that provision by making investments in community-based organizations that are working to build additional affordable housing in the area in this part of the city. So there is a buyout provision that's not happening in this case, but we may look at future projects that have that. That's the summary of my comments as it relates to the CRA as a whole. I'd be happy to take any questions or turn the microphone over.
Thank you, Director Shoney. Can you highlight some of the other communities in Columbus that would also be included in the Ready for Revitalization?
Yeah, the ones that fall into that category right now are the Milo Grogan is one that's fairly typical. The Near East Side is another that's fairly typical, where you see a real mix of incomes. And frankly, in a lot of ways, these are neighborhoods that are in a pretty good place that we're trying to make sure they remain on a positive track and keep a mix of affordable housing in the neighborhood, or make sure that they remain stable and strong and moving in the right direction. Neighborhoods, as you know, never stay the same, but these are neighborhoods that are falling into a category where we're seeing strong performance, but also some affordability existing in the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Ms. Carolyn Kimmel. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, you are. Thank you. Hi, thank you for letting me be here today. So just a quick background about Herman & Kittle. We are a vertically integrated company. So we are a developer, a property manager, a designer, and a general contractor. So we do everything in-house. And we are a successor to companies that have been around since the 1940s. We have over 140 multifamily properties with over 14,000 units in 16 states. And in the years since we've been operational, we've developed self-storage, traditional apartments, townhomes, senior apartments, single-family homes, and adaptive reuse properties. But in the past probably 2 or 3 years, we've really shifted our focus to multifamily new construction, and that is what we are building here on Chatterton Road. We have fairly extensive experience in the Ohio area, but a lot in the Midwest, mostly in Indiana. We have over 100 properties in Indiana. But in Ohio, we have 2 properties in Hamilton, 1 property in Russell's Point, 1 in Fremont, 2 in the Dayton area, and we currently have another property off of Hague Avenue under construction here in Columbus, 1 under construction in Grove City, and then we have this Riverside Trail that is just now starting site work. So we have a lot of activity in the Ohio pipeline, and I expect that to continue over the next 10 years at least. So I've just included some photos. Obviously, we're just breaking ground right now, so I don't have any site photos to include, but I did want to include a variety of photos from some of our other developments so that people could see the caliber of construction and just the quality of our amenities and our units. So what's pictured here is our standard kitchen and living room layout, which again is at another property, but Riverside Trail will consist of 248 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom apartments. We have 13 fully accessible ADA units and 5 units for residents with audiovisual impairments. All units will include Energy Star GE appliances, including a washer, dryer, and then we'll also have vinyl plank flooring, which is pictured here in the photo, walk-in closets, and an open concept layout. So the finished level that you're seeing in the picture is comparable and almost exactly the same as the finished levels that will be at Riverside Trail when it's completed. Next slide. Residents will also have a pool, picnic area, playground, dog park to enjoy outside. We're also providing covered bike storage units available for free, and then garages and storage units will be available for rent. And again, this is just comparable finishes at another one of our properties. With the amenity center, the gym is on top, the fitness center, and the media room at the bottom. The clubhouse will consist of a fitness center, leasing center, community room, cyber cafe, and a game room. And then we also have on-site management, so we'll have 2 full-time property managers, 2 full-time maintenance, and 1 part-time maintenance person that are going to be just dedicated to this site, so 5 employees. And then I included also some photos, which are a little bit hard to see, of the elevations of each of the buildings. The buildings along the perimeter are going to be 2-story, and the buildings towards the center will be 3-story. So any buildings that back up to single-family homes will be limited to 2-story apartments. So the next slide shows a couple more facades, and then the second to the last slide shows the site layout that's been approved by the City of Columbus. And the final slide is just a few more details. Riverside Trail will be geared towards residents earning 60% of area median income, which those are the rents that we're currently expecting to charge. And then we also have a service provider, Homeport. They're not managing. I do want to make that clear. They're not the property manager. We are the property manager. Homeport is just a service provider that is going to be there to connect our residents to services in the community that already exist. So they're kind of going to be a liaison. They'll be on site as needed, and they will connect residents with various services available to them in the community. I'm happy to answer any questions about the development specifically or Herman and Kittle.
Thank you so much for your testimony there. Just a few questions. Why did you choose this area of Columbus?
Sure. So currently we have some other communities under construction, and this was an area that I sort of saw as having a need for some additional units, whether that be multifamily, single family, but the way that I feel we can best fit into that realm is by developing multifamily. I also noticed there were a lot of resources in the area, so we look for, where are people going to work? Where are they going to go to school? Where are they going to have recreation available to them? And this area struck me as an area that maybe was a little bit behind in development, but had all of the bones that I look for in terms of how we can best serve residents. It's on a bus line. So those are kind of the amenities I look for when selecting a site.
Okay. And obviously, you all are committed to the affordability requirement.
Yes. So Ohio, this is what I should have mentioned, that this is funded by the Ohio Housing Finance Agency. So we do have to keep these units affordable for 15 years. We have never sold a tax credit development that we have developed in our portfolio. So we're in this for the long haul. We're in this beyond 15 years. And that's why we're committed to using, high quality materials. We're committed to property management. We're committed to fixing things when they go wrong, because we really are here to be a staple in the community long term.
Thank you. And as we're on this, this lane here, if you could just highlight what those rents are proposed to be. I know it flashed on the screen kind of briefly, but just for our folks at home.
Sure. So $690 for a one-bedroom, one-bath apartment, $828 for a two-bedroom, two-bath apartment, $968 for a three-bedroom, two-bath apartment, and $1,031 for a four-bedroom, two-bath apartment. And I should say that that includes trash, but residents will be responsible for their own utilities. That's why we use high-quality Energy Star appliances. It keeps the costs down for residents, but we find that people are a lot more environmentally conscious when they have to pay their own utility bills. Otherwise, people just leave the lights on and go to work, run the air conditioning at 64 degrees. So this helps all of us be a little bit more environmentally friendly.
Okay. And then my last question, you mentioned working with Homeport. Can you just talk a little bit more about what that relationship looks like, and if you have partnered with any other like organizations in other cities to do the same thing?
Sure. So I would say 80% of our portfolio, we do have a partner with some sort of a service provider. The relationship with Homeport is a referral relationship. So we will have pamphlets and other information on site for residents. We can't force them to use services, but we can show them what services are available. And then we also have a designated office space. So we have a contract with Homeport where we are paying them each year to come and spend, I think it's 13 hours per week, but I would have to check for sure. It's 12 to 13 hours on site to be there to meet with residents, to help connect them to services. So this can be anything from credit counseling, eviction prevention, food and nutrition assistance and counseling, and then even resources such as food delivery, healthy eating, healthy meal planning, child care, child development. So they have a wide range of services that they provide, but I think the biggest thing they provide is to be that connection to other agencies in the area that provide services.
Wonderful. Director Shoney, did you have anything additional you wanted to add before we turn over to public testimony? Thank you. So we'll go ahead and move forward with our public testimony portion of the hearing. Individuals who were interested in speaking at today's hearing were required to complete a speaker slip. Excuse me, goodness. So today we have one speaker, and comments are limited to 3 minutes. It might be your day to play the lottery, ma'am. You never know. So if you don't mind, Ms. Quay Barnes, you can approach the podium. Hopefully the mic is turned on for you. Ms. Green. Okay, perfect. All right. Floor is yours.
Councilmember Favor and Director Shoney. I think they probably knew I was going to come because it's happening on the east side. And for 5 years, I've been asking for things to happen on the east side. And so we're definitely in favor of this development. I have absolutely no concerns, except I hope that the Greater Southeast Commission was able to comment on this. Have they seen this? Okay. So, because it's in their area. Another concern that they rose was that will commercial development follow? In other words, I don't know, the nearest grocery store to this place is still quite far away. How do they get to just basic things? Shopping, grocery shopping, those sorts of things. Those are concerns that they have. They're concerned also about traffic patterns, which of course, if you build these great apartments, which will be wonderful, that's also going to bring more car traffic and other transportation issues. So I'm speaking for them, they do approve of it, but those are their concerns. We were a little confused about the two maps. Here's also one from my area, and I represent the Mideast Area Community Collaborative, hopefully to be a commission soon. And we noticed that there's also a James Road and Livingston Avenue. Is this part of the reinvestment portion too, sir?
So a couple things in your comments, Ms. Barnes. So we are creating, we're going to create another blob on the map, is what we're doing with this one.
Oh, okay.
That's the technical way to explain
Yes,
it.
yes.
So, and again, when I talked earlier about the community reinvestment areas that we have today were built over time just through an assembly of, okay, now would be a good time to do this, now would be a good time to do that. Going forward, we're going to be drawing the maps according to census tracts so that we have kind of a data-driven, well-defined, federally defined kind of boundaries for things instead of having us try and draw the boundaries as best we can and we forget why. You know, somebody moves on, you don't know why the boundaries got drawn that way. So we are moving toward that. I think a couple of, to answer your question on the commercial development, we've talked a lot about the condition of retail on the east side and the southeast side of Columbus. Our hope is that there's a balance because more cars means more consumers when you talk about commercial, which is key to revitalizing some of those areas that we talk all the time about how do we revitalize. And I think what we're seeing is a tendency in retail to concentrate in more nodes. And I think developments like this that are adjacent to whether it be Bryce Road or whether it be Hamilton Road that are in those areas, the more that we can do to bring new investment, more residents into those areas, I think helps those corridors. I don't see a proliferation of smaller kind of strips of retail that I think is a kind of pattern we saw through the 70s and the 80s. I think now we're going to see, my hope is seeing investments like this in this part of town will help with those other areas that we've talked a lot about.
Okay. That's all I had.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, and let me provide you with did you want to offer any additional comments?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for your support. I just wanted to throw out there that we did speak with Greater Southeast Area Commission. They had a chance to comment, and we kind of talked back and forth. We had some email and some letter correspondence back and forth with them. We did take quite a few of their suggestions and kind of incorporate that into the design. So hopefully, you know, there's a positive relationship there that can continue. And then I did want to make one comment about traffic. So we did have a traffic study completed, and we took all of the recommendations that were recommended by the traffic firm, which I'm going to have to check the name of if I need to follow up. But they were a Columbus-based firm, and we took all of those comments and incorporated them into our design. So the design you're seeing now has already had a full traffic study done, and comments were incorporated.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
If any commissioners had questions about that traffic study and what it revealed, would it be possible just to get some of that information?
Yeah,
That'd be okay.
absolutely. I can send the whole study as long as I know where to send it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Director Shoney, any closing comments? And I just would like to make sure that we remind our folks at home that this project is just one project, one potential project that could be a part of this new CRA in Columbus, that the potential is limitless at this point.
That's exactly the direction I was going to go with my final comments. And I think one of the things that we're finding, this is the second new CRA we've created since we did the new policy. This is the first one that has fallen into the middle tier. And what we're excited about is having this be an opportunity for single-family homeowners in the neighborhood, because this does cover some pretty significant single-family home neighborhoods, to be able to come in and more economically reinvest in their homes, work on that wealth creation that makes our neighborhoods so important. And I want to thank Herman and Kittle for bringing these housing units in, but also frankly, looking at a neighborhood and getting us to look at the possibility of using this tool in this neighborhood. So those are my final comments, and thank you for hosting the hearing today.
Absolutely. Any final comments from you?
I don't have any final comments. I just wanted to say that I'm open to any other questions that need follow-up, but I just want to thank everyone in Columbus for welcoming us, and I'm very excited to be part of the future of affordable housing in Columbus.
Wonderful. That does officially conclude our public testimony and today's public hearing. As chair of the Housing Committee, I am absolutely passionate about improving the quality of life for all of our residents in every neighborhood throughout our capital city. I am truly excited about this legislation because it demonstrates that this council is committed to addressing the issue of affordable housing head-on. We know that this will not be the only answer, but it is absolutely a start. So thank you to Director Shoney and the Department of Development for all of your hard work to get us here today, and to Ms. Carolyn for providing your expertise and testimony today. If there are any remaining questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to our office or to the Department of Development. Thank you and have a great evening.